Okay. Oh, hang on a second. To register. Okay, so we would like to welcome you back to Fabric Chicks Live at 4 o'clock. We're going to see how this goes because Devon literally was just getting set up and he snapped the tripod. So somehow he said he's going to figure it out. Don't worry. So we, if you didn't watch, our last segment was interviewing Linda McGehee. Make sure you go back and rewatch it. She goes over all of the classes that she's teaching in Reno. You're going to want to sign up for classes because the classes do fill up. One of the things I love about Linda's classes is she covers a lot of technical stuff. So for those of you who sometimes struggle with thread or struggle with sewing feet or struggle with all the different kinds of adding dimension and texture to your projects, she's a great one to take classes from because she literally she uses so many different feet. I use 2 feet, my free motion foot and my 1/4-inch foot, or whatever foot is on my machine that came with my machine. I might use that too. So make sure you sign up for Linda McGeehee's classes and in her lectures. And I'm going to tell you coming up. So let me just see who's here. Okay, so welcome everybody. We are back from QuiltCon. We're kind of excited about that. We had a fun time together, Devon and I. And if you followed us on Facebook and Instagram, you saw our posts. I'm just going to show you real quick the fun things that Devon and I made at QuiltCon. Devon made for his mom for her birthday this cute little passport photo cover. So we still have to sew up the hand stitching there. But he made it super cute. We've got the directions, so we'll do that as a demo because that is a really good thing to protect your passport. And then this project, which was a cotton and steel, they did you put this over your book, and then it's a bookmark, but it also has a place here for you to put your pins. So that was kind of a fun project that we did. I cannot give these as giveaways because Devon gave it to his mommy for her birthday, which is in July. So I'm not sure if it was July in the past or July in the future. But those were fun to do, and they were super easy. Oh, yes. Kathleen, I'm sorry. Hang on a second. I got Quilt Show Reno ready, but I didn't get Fabric Chicks ready. What is today's date? Do you guys know? What's today's date? The 24th. Okay, we're gonna get this ready. Okay, so I just want to cover like Devon's scroll. Okay, so we've got a bunch of freebies, but I'm going to talk about kind of the things that I loved about QuiltCon and the things that were interesting. I've been to a lot of quilt shows over the last.
Kind of hard to part with those for free.
Oh, Devon wants to sell his giveaways.
I had to work for
So
them.
what was really fun was that when we did these projects, when we made these projects, Cotton and Steel gave us 3. Let me see. 3. I'm just going to say it might have been a little bit biased. They gave Devon 2 for finishing his passport, and they gave me 1 for finishing my bookmark. So we have cute little Cotton and Steel. Hang on a second. Let me get back to my comments here. We have cute little Cotton and Steel mini charm packs. So these are super fun little colors, kind of a really calming colorway, cool color palette here. Okay, we got 3 of them. Devon, scroll and let me know. Yes, Jenny, you're on the right date today.
Brenda.
Okay, Brenda Yagi. And then who else do you have?
Sharon
Weber.
And Suzette.
And Suzette. I know, Kathleen, they're super cute. Oh, Elaine, you for sure need a passport. My kids have had passports since like the day they were born. But you just never know when you're going to want to hop on a plane and leave the country. So I suggest to everybody out there to get a passport. Okay, so we have 3 of those to put in your baskets. Okay, I'm gonna read the comments real quick, see if I mixed anything. Welcome everybody. Oh, Sandy says she took a good class with Linda McGehee on spiraling. I don't think you could take a bad class with her. Any class you take, you're gonna learn something. And Evelyn says she loves threads. Me too. We are really going to start covering threads because one of the things we found on at QuiltCon, and I will say that the QuiltCon, a lot of the QuiltCon people were younger, like maybe a little bit older than Devon or around Devon's age, which was super exciting to see. I loved seeing all the young people. One of the things that when Devon was sitting down doing his passport, we all kind of started lining up to sew ours because we had to share machines. And the gal who snuck in between me and Devon had actually never touched a sewing machine before. So I thought that's kind of crazy. Like, why did you pay to come to a quilt show if you've never even touched a quilt machine? But her girlfriends talked her into it. So, and I think she got the bug. I told her, I said, go to your local quilt shop, take classes, because you got to learn a foundation. Okay, so we have some, I know, Devon, mark my words, you're going to be famous in the quilt world. Wow, Suzette, he could hardly wait. I'm just going to say he could hardly wait. Oh, Kathleen, I didn't know that they had passport covers in Diamond Art. I'm going to have to talk to Amy about that.
I got you that one so you could try to make something from it.
Oh, you did? What am I going to make with it?
You were looking at that line in the catalog. You said, wouldn't that one be so fun to embellish?
Yeah. Are you sure it wasn't this?
Oh, whatever. Just give it away.
Okay, we're giving it away.
Don't remember the pink
Okay, we got
glasses?
fat quarters to give away. So
They're fat eights.
They are fat eighths. And Devon, can you educate everybody on what a fat eighth is?
No, they all know what a fat eighth is.
Well, I'm going to tell you what a fat eighth is, just in case you don't know, because I did have to tell Devon what a fat eighth was.
No, you didn't. I was just confirming that's how you make one.
Okay, so how do you make a fat eighth?
You can explain it.
Okay, whoever types in how to make a fat eighth first gets one fat eighth. Okay, so fat eighths are different than fat quarters. They're not typically seen in quilt shops because they're very labor intense. So I hate doing fat quarters because fat quarters are labor intense, but people, the general public, quilters, love fat quarters because you can get more variety for your dollar. But it does cost more because it takes us longer to cut them because you got to open them up, cut them. Okay, let's see. Wow. So if I am a quilt shop, I'm not sure about those. I would have to go experiment if I cut a fat quarter horizontally, if that would be a fat eighth, a half of a fat eighth, a quarter yard on width, how to make a fat eighth. Wow, those are some interesting inches. 9-inch cut on width of fabric. 9-inch cut on width of fabric. Close. You guys are all kind of close, but I'm not sure. Devon, do any of those really fit
I don't know what you're looking for.
How do you cut
a full explanation?
Yeah. How do you if you were to get a fat eighth, what would a fat eighth be? Like, how do you cut a fat eighth?
I like that one.
Stephanie, you got it. Stephanie, which one do you want? So a fat eighth, you cut a quarter yard, which is 9 inches with the width of the fabric. So 9 inches, and then you cut that in half. So a fat eighth is going to measure 9 by 22. A fat quarter, you cut a half of a yard, so you cut 18 inches, and then you open it up and you cut that in half, so you have 18 by 22. So fat eighth is 18 by 22. So Stephanie, I'll stop shaking so you can see which one it is. We've got a pink fat eighth collection by Art Gallery Fabrics. Then we've got some grays here, And then we have some more muted colors here.
I
A
worked
pink
hard
one.
for that one.
What?
I worked hard for that one.
So Devon had to, that's what I said. I don't think that's half of a fat quarter. I don't think so. Peggy, nobody's going to cut a fat quarter and then cut that in half to make a fat 8. I mean, it might be the same measurement, but I'm just a blonde, but why would you cut a fat quarter to then cut it in half to make a fat 8? I don't know. I've never actually cut a fat 8 because I think they're ridiculous. But I'm gonna have to experiment now and see if a fat quarter is cut. I don't know. Now I'm super confused. Okay, now I'm all confused. Okay, so Devon had to he didn't have to, but he learned how in the art gallery booth. They taught him how to paper piece. So they gave him a paper cardstock hexagon, and then they gave him a piece of fabric that was cut the perfect size. So he glued the fabric to the hexagon paper, and then he did 2 of them, and then he hand stitched them together so that it would be able to go into a quilt that is going to be hanging in the art gallery display in Florida. So that was super fun. So we got fat quarters for that. So we do have 2 more. I know paper piecing is what all the young gals are doing, but Christy, not even just the young gals. My girlfriends, gosh, I think that they started paper piecing. My girlfriends in the Bay Area, I think that they started paper piecing. There was a whole bunch of us, and we loved hand applique. We did a Baltimore quilt. I think they started hand piecing maybe like 2 decades ago. But it's not a new project or type of quilting. English paper piecing has been around for probably centuries. I don't know, probably as long as we've had paper. But it is super, super popular right now. People are doing all kinds of paper piecing. It's a great project that you can take with you when you're traveling. Devon, however, said that he doesn't know why anybody would do paper piecing because it's going to take you forever to get a quilt done. But for those of us who love to do handwork, paper piecing is a great option. Okay, so, oh my gosh, Stephanie, I cannot believe you guys sell fat 8s in your store. You could not catch me cutting fat 8s. It's so labor intense. And then, I don't know, what do you sell them for? $2? $3? I don't know. But you're never going to find a fat 8 here at Fabric Chicks because maybe in a kit. I would totally cut fat 8s for a kit. But then I wouldn't necessarily cut a fat 8th. I would just cut whatever size you needed. So we do cut stuff for kits, but I would never cut fat 8s just to sell because it's so labor intense and I just don't have the manpower. I know fat 8s are popular, but I think you're just going to start sewing and then you're going to be so sad because you're not going to have enough fabric for your project. So you might as well get a fat quarter or a half yard, or like me personally, I love clothing makers. I mean, not that I don't love quilters, but I love it when American Sewing Guild makes field trips to the shop because American Sewing Guild people, they typically come in and they need 3 to 6 yards for any jacket that they're going to make. Any project they're going to make. If you're a clothing garment maker, you just come in and you need 3, 4, 5, 6 yards of something. Quilters come in and they're like, I just really need a 2.5-inch strip of 40 fabrics because I'd like to customize my own jelly roll. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. We love quilters. We love everybody really. Anyways, well, yes, Suzette, you could totally do Scrappy with your fat 8s. because they're small pieces, so you can get more variety for your dollar. So they are great if you're going to do something scrappy. $2 for a fat eighth. Gosh, that is a labor of love, Stephanie. That is a labor of love. Oh, Phyllis. So you are thinking of, Phyllis, you're thinking of paper piecing, like paper piecing. We're talking about English paper piecing right now. English paper piecing by hand. Anyhow, okay, let's see. So we took a lot of classes, lectures at QuiltCon, and so for us it was kind of different because we've not done we've done quilt shows for the last 20 years. We've been vendors at quilt shows. We haven't gone as consumers. So it was really fun for Devon and I to go as consumers because we signed up for a lot of classes so we could be very educated. I don't think that there's ever a time in your life that you don't need to learn stuff. So we had a fun time learning all about quilting in the Mexican culture, quilting in the Japanese culture, quilting in the Black community. So we learned a lot of history, which is kind of crazy that that's what they focused on at the Modern Quilt Guild. But I love history, so those were fun classes for me to take. My favorite class by far was, well, it's a lecture. We only did lectures because the quilt classes were all full. So if you want to get into quilt classes at QuiltCon, you really have to join their membership and become a Modern Quilt member, Modern Quilt Guild member, so that you can get into the classes because they release and open up like in July or something. They open up much sooner for members, and then the rest of us, if you're not a member, can sign up afterwards. But when Devon and I tried to sign up for classes, they were all full. So we just did the lectures. But I think I'm really kind of torn because I've taught at a lot of I've taught classes at shows, and I understand now, as Devon and I were dragging all of our stuff we bought at the show, and then going to the lecture at 7:00 at night after we'd been there all day, and we were so tired. I understand now because I do have a booth at the shows. I typically, when I teach like from 7 to 10 at night, and people leave in the middle of the class, and they always come in there. They always are really apologetic. They don't want to be rude, but they're exhausted, and so it's kind of one of those things. It's a fine balance, I think, seeing it from a consumer point of view and teacher and a vendor. You really need to make time to be able to enjoy the show. I have a lot of people that just sign up for a ton of classes, which is great, but you want to make sure that you make time to see the show, do lectures. It's a very fine balance. You got to know how much your body can take. And I'm going to tell you, at the end of the day at 7:00, it was really hard to not say, oh, forget it. Let's just go get something to eat. We went to we were diligent. There was only one lecture that we missed. And it was because we lost track of time. We ran into a superstar. So at QuiltCon, you ran into a lot of superstars. So that was really fun, chit-chatting and networking. And so we will give you a list. Maybe not today. No, we will. Mac, gosh, I should have written them down.
You're right.
She's an influencer. Mac
Cox.
Yes. But I'm trying to think of the, you can find her on Instagram and YouTube. It is, I can't think of the name of her page, but so I'm going to write it down for Wednesday because, I thought, oh, don't worry about it. You'll remember it all, but you won't. But we ran into, Sandy, who has Rogers Lane Designs, and she's been wanting to do classes for us for a long time, like years. And so I told her this time for real, we're going to do it. So she has a jacket class. She has some collaging classes, a lot of fun stuff. So we will get Sandy to do some classes for us. And then we also, I will say, I don't know how many times I've taken the class with Threaducation through Wonderful, but I love that was, I would say, we learned more in the Threaducation free demo class. Devon learned all kinds of things about threads. So now when you come into the shop, he can tell you whether for your project you want a 100 weight thread or a 12 weight thread. And I quizzed him the whole way home. I quizzed him on the different threads. He's got it right up here. I would say the superstar for me, was Rachel Clark. And I have known Rachel Clark for years. She's been in the industry for years and years and years. She is most famous for her jackets. She makes jackets, not really, some of you might associate it with like a quilted jacket, but she does some quilting on it. She doesn't use batting, so it wouldn't really be a quilted jacket per se, because a quilted jacket would have to have 3 layers. She does build her base on a muslin, but I'm not sure if that would qualify as a quilted jacket technically in the real world. But she does the most amazing jackets. And if you followed us on Facebook and YouTube, or Facebook and Instagram, we did post pictures of the fashion show. It was incredible. I did talk to Rachel about having her come and do events. So stay tuned, because I think we will be seeing her in 2026. So that was a lot of fun. I got a Tulip Pink EPP pattern papers and templates for Christmas, but I haven't tried it yet. I've never done English paper piecing. Oh, Elaine, super easy. If me and Devon can do it, you can do it. I think that the only thing that might be more complicated with it, the Tulip Pink and the patterns, is that you have to know where you're putting the pieces. So you cut the right pieces to put where you want them, and the different shapes. But I think it'll be fun. Okay. Well, welcome, Peggy. No.
Not as much as me.
I was not a superstar at QuiltCon, which is kind of crazy, because when I go and do shows like at Road to California, when I'm trying to eat dinner and be quiet, and by myself, like people just come up and they're like, "Oh my God, you're the girl from Fabric Chicks." Nobody even noticed me next to Devon. Literally, one of our customers, she, like, as we were leaving, she said, "Are you just gonna walk right by?" And I recognized the voice. And I turned around and she's like, "I didn't even see you. I saw your boy." And so it was funny. Devon really stood out. You know me, I just look like every other blonde there. But everybody loved Devon. Okay, so Rondi, you totally just had Rachel at your guild. Cindy Gygax took a jacket class from her. She was telling us about it a couple of weeks ago in our Tuesdays with Victor. She had a great experience making her jacket with Rachel. Okay, let's see. What else did I miss? I feel like I'm just rambling, and we should be like doing an auction. Okay, we do have 2 giveaways. Devon, pick two names while I look. We could do a class for English paper piecing, Victor, except for that I think everybody knows, like once you show them how to do it, they don't really need a class unless it's for a pattern purpose, for a pattern, but it might be a good demo, and then we could see how much interest we get for a class. Okay. Oh, Phyllis says she loves the orange fat aids that Stephanie gave her. Well, Stephanie is an official expert at making fat aids. Christy says there were great clothes at QuiltCon. For sure. That was the craziest thing. I have not seen that in years, like years and years. You always see 1 or 2 people that wear their quilted outfits or their handmade, homemade outfits to a show. But usually you see more handbags and things. You don't really see full ensembles. Back in the day, like 25 years ago, when I used to go to Houston did a huge fashion show. Like they hired professional models, and anybody who entered their garment, you had to be selected to enter into it. So like Linda McGee had garments in the fashion show. Eleanor Peace Bailey had garments in the fashion show. But literally it was like the best of the best had their garments in the fashion show. But at QuiltCon, it was insane how many people, like you literally could go to QuiltCon just to watch the outfits. And people just like stopping and like doing like, modeling their outfits so that people could take photos of them. And the outfits were the craziest. If you just go on to Instagram or Facebook, every feed has different outfits from QuiltCon. It was so much fun to watch. I talked to Connie. Connie met us there, and both Connie and I said that the next quilt show that we go to, and I'm going to talk to Connie Webb, who owns Quilt Show Reno, about maybe doing a fashion show. We're doing a professional fashion show with Project Runway Friday night. But I think we need to do like a spontaneous fashion show for the average consumer. Anything, any project that you've made. And I don't know if you saw it, Christy, but in the Moda booth, at one point in the Moda booth, they started it as a caftan fashion show. So anybody wearing a caftan, they went up and they had like a pink carpet in their booth, and they did like, they modeled there, and then it switched to anybody who had any kind of outfit, and then anybody who had a handmade tote bag or anything handmade, like went across the pink carpet. It was super fun to watch. You can, if you go to Moda's Facebook page or Instagram, I'm sure you can see the fashion show. It was a lot of fun to watch the clothing, and it just was a lot of fun to see. For me, it was a lot of fun to see the younger people there, and the people who really want to learn how to sew, but don't even know where to start. So we need to find a way. Like, I don't know if guilds across America need to offer like a sewing day for young people, young mothers, or young college kids to come and like learn the fundamentals of sewing. Okay, I couldn't look. Yes, Tina, you're here if you're on YouTube still, you have found us today. Oh, we forgot to do the banner. We switched the date and then we forgot to do it. You can't trust us with anything, okay? Okay, Devon's sitting there. He's all irritated because he found some winners and then I keep talking. Okay, let's see. I think I've answered, I don't know. I think I've answered everybody's questions. I cuss a lot. Suzette, you do? So Suzette, you have plenty of scraps. You do not need any fat eights. No, fat eights would be great if you want a collection, so it all is cohesive and goes together. And Linda Meyer, we are thinking about, well, I am thinking about doing it for Reno. I just have to convince Connie that it's a good idea. Okay, let's see. I think we've got it all. I don't know. I'm so frazzled at this point. Okay, let's see. So Devon's got 2 winners for Fat Eighth bundles. Who are they?
Peggy and Susan.
Peggy who?
Cato.
Peggy Cato and Susan DeHaan?
Yeah.
Okay, Susan DeHaan. Okay, the first person to type in the national park where Devon and I stopped on our adventure is going to win one of these Anna Maria Horner. And look at this fabric here. It has the best texture. I know. I would love to order Anna Maria Horner's fabrics. She's one of my favorite designers of all times. Okay, Christy is the winner. Christy was the first one. Sorry, guys. I know it's not fair when it's the first one. Okay, let's see. What is another question we can ask him, Devon?
Uh-huh.
I've got another one of these probably fat eights. Okay, let's see. Okay, just scroll and give me two names. I've got a bunch of stickers from Art Gallery. Stickers were super popular. Thank you to Christy for making us a sticker. So we have stickers to, well, get here. Who's these?
Oh. How many?
I've got two. I need two winners. Stickers and a fat eight.
Mary Lou.
Okay, Mary Lou.
And Carolyn Gavernich.
Mary Lou and Carolyn Gavernich. Okay. And then let's see. So if anybody wants this tote bag, just type in that you want this tote bag and we'll throw it in your basket. And then, we did a, here, let me put it here to tell somebody. Did you get one of the cute, wonderful pins at their booth? We did not get a Wonderfil pin. Emily, what kind of pin was it, Wonderfil? We did get a bunch of other stuff from Wonderfil, but we did not get a pin. So let me know what it looks like so that I can call Bernadette, my inside source, and get one. Okay, Tina, let me give you the red bag. Tina. It was round and opened up. It was. Okay, I'm going to have to ask. A cookie tin. Did you have to do the make and take to get it? Because we did not do the make and take. They gave me the stuff to do the make and take. But we didn't do it there. So maybe a lot of them were giving out the goodies if you actually sat down and did it with them. Okay, we've got a tape measure, Art Gallery Fabrics tape measure. Who's the lucky winner, Devon? I know it's so hard to pick a winner, isn't it? Anne Lindemeyer. Okay, and then let's see, what else do we have? They gave it to you at checkout? It opens up and it's a sewing kit inside. Okay, I'm gonna text Bernadette as soon as we get done here. Because we bought a ton of stuff. This is such a good lead into what we've got next. We have a ton of stuff from here, I'm gonna put this stuff over here to talk about if we have time when we're done. So we went to Wonderfil. We got a ton of stuff from them. Of course, you know my favorite threads are Wonderfil. Although a good quality thread, Orifil has a good quality thread. I love Wonderfil because I love all the different varieties of thread that they offer, and that they offer more than just thread. So I haven't tried this yet. This is a disclaimer. I haven't tried this yet, but I need another thread stand for one of my other machines. Most of you have the double thread stand, portable double thread stand that we've sold that I love because you can do 2 threads at a time. What I love about this one is, look at here, you've got 3 spools. I'm not sure that you can do 3 spools through your machine and get it through your needle. I know you can do 2. No, this one is for a sideways one. Oh. So here
doesn't that still count as 4?
Yeah, it does, but I don't know that you could do. I know you couldn't. You definitely can do all 4 at a time. So I got to experiment with this. So what these 3 spools are for down here is to pull through these holes and then couch them. So you can couch 3 threads at a time. So that's something new I've never seen before. And you know me, I love to do multiple. The 3 goes through the serger. Well, if I ever threaded my serger terracotta, maybe I'll bring my serger to the retreat. I know you guys always say that you'll help me with it, but I've never done it. So, Emily, were you at QuiltCon? So then you can also put your thread here vertically and then bring it up through these top holes here. I'm not sure what this piece is for. I'm going to have to ask Bernadette, but it fits here, so I believe it's here. So this is what they call the thread tamer. I'm going to experiment with it, see if I love it. If you need one, let me know and we will order them for you. I only got one because I did not want to have to carry it all day. So I only got one so we could experiment with it. So if you need one of these, let me know. We'll get you one. But it has the 3 holes here for the 3 threads back here, which you guys are saying is for sergers. I personally would use it for couching. So it says here, holds up to 3 spools in place to prevent undesired tangling, couching and cording. And then this one here, when all else fails, read the directions. This one here is for perpendicular drawing. Eliminates self-induced raveling from horizontal drawing. Ideal for cup-sized spools. Recommended for metallic and hologram. And then you can put your main thread down here. So here's the little directions on the back. Oh, well, I'm going to have to call Bernadette and ask her. Are you sure it was Wonderfill or could it have been Aurifil? It could have been maybe Aurifil because we didn't stop at the Aurifil booth. But we were at the Wonderfill booth several times. So we talked to Jennifer from Aster and Ann, and she is the designer for these wool purses and things. So she is going to do some classes and interviews and lectures for us. So each one of these comes with everything that you need to make the project, but it's not sewn up so that you can do, and most of her projects were done by hand, by machine. So she, you put your applique on here and then you do all your fun stitching. You can use all of your fancy stitches on your machine, or you can do it by hand. You can do fabric and applique. You could do wool. You can do anything you want. And then, so this goes in here for if you want to make a, maybe a needle holder. Well, so this kit contains pre-cut felt base, leather finger straps, leather tap snap closures, pins and needles. All fittings are antique brass. You can either make a card holder or a needle case with felt, sashiko ribbon, English paper piecing, or anything else you can think of. So that's kind of a fun thing. We did post on our Instagram and Facebook some of her projects. She had a notebook a notebook cover, or you could turn it into a sewing bag. So those are fun things. She's got some bags and things. But like I said, we will be interviewing her when she's out of Australia. So she flew up just for QuiltCon. So when she gets back to Australia, she's got another project, another event this coming up week when she gets back. And then after that, she'll be doing an interview for us, and we'll talk about classes and everything she has to offer. So if you do need one of these, I think they're $17. If you do need one of these, just put that in there and say Aster and Ann needle case or wallet case, card case, and we'll get that in your basket. We did come home with those because they were easy for me to carry. The other thing, I thought I made a tag for it, but I must not have. This one is another one I was excited to see. I haven't used it yet, but it's instant applique. So you literally can, it's kind of like steam where it's got the double-sided, but you don't necessarily, you can iron it on and it sticks, but then when you wash it, it washes away, so you don't have the hardness of the fusible. So that's kind of a fun product. I haven't used it yet, but I will. It's double-sided self-adhesive, water-soluble medium, light and easily cut to any size or shape you can conjure up. Instantly take your applique to the next level. Raw edge, turn, reverse, and more. Completely iron-free. So you don't actually have to iron it, it says. Double-sided adhesive holds your applique securely fixed in place. When you're all finished, leave it and wash it away. So that is something that we're going to try this week if we can find time. Yes, Susan, they had the wool holders for the Oliso irons. When we interview Jennifer from Master and Ann, she will show us all of the different products. So this is just kind of a sneak peek because literally we did not want to have to carry everything. Here, this is the one. So if you want that S117, it's $17. Did you see the fusible thread at Wonderful? I did not, Christy. Fusible thread. What do you use it for? A lot of times I order those because Bernadette, anytime Wonderful comes out with a new product, Bernadette calls me to tell me about it. And a lot of times I order it. But do you remember a couple of years ago at the retreat, we gave away a bunch of thread, spools of thread, because I bought a whole display, but we never took the time to learn what it was. So I just gave them away to everybody at the retreat, and I figured you're on your own, learn it yourself. I only have so much time in my day. Okay, here is another fun little embellishment that we have. So these are little charm angels. And there is 5 of them in the collection. The 2 purples are a little bit, one light and one dark. S118 is $4.95. S118 is $4.95. And those are for 5 cute little angel charms. 5 cute little angel charms. Okay, I'm going to have to couch here and wash away for scarf. Yes. We did that. We wove, I don't know if you remember terracotta, but we wove the silk ribbons. We cut them 72 inches long, and then we had the wash away 9 inches wide, and we wove them, I think, with 7-inch strips of silk. So 72 inches one way, and then 7 or 9 inches the other way. And we wove them. And then we put a bunch of embellishment threads on them and then put the wash away on top of it and then stitched all crazy and made cute scarves. Okay, let's see. Gosh, I don't know. We've had the fusible thread for zippers. Now that you mentioned the zippers, she sold it to me for zippers. But I don't think we ever used it for that because I've honestly, I think I may have put in 2 zippers in my life when I made the chicken bag, Eleanor Peace Bailey's chicken bag. But we should get better at making bags. Okay, here is my favorite bobbin thread, and I had to buy some for the shop because I was out of it. So you guys are probably out of it too because it's been a while since we've had it on. So if you need bobbin thread, 111 is $11. It's $12. That's basically $1 a bobbin. Their invoice was super hard to read, so it looked like it was $24, but Devon corrected me. So, for binding. Well, Christy, maybe you need to do a demo for us with it, because we could use all the help we can get. So we have light gray, the Dove, they call it, light gray S111. And this is for class 15 machines. These fit in my Bernina, they fit in my Juki, and they fit in my Janome. If you need a class L, let me know and we can order you the class L's. It just seems like class L's we might even have in here in the shop because I sell the 15s a lot more. These are pre-wound bobbins. The reason you would want a pre-wound bobbin is it is an 80 weight. And a lot of people think you have to have the same weight on top as you do in the bobbin. That is a myth, okay? That is totally a myth. If you're having problems getting your tension right on your machine, it might be because you haven't serviced it lately. So try that. Or just try cleaning it out. A lot of times if I'm having problem with my tension or with anything, It's because I've got literally like a baby mouse growing in my bobbin case because I haven't cleaned out all the lint lately. I don't literally have a mouse growing in there, but by the time you clean out all the lint, it could be equivalent to a baby mouse. So clean out your machines. If your machines are in good working order, you should be able to use any kind of weight in the bobbin. Not any kind. You can't use a big fat weight. You can totally use an 8 weight in your bobbin, but you would have to change your bobbin tension. So I recommend you get a secondary bobbin for that if you're going to do that. But what they found is that 80 weight basically is the best weight that will work with anything, and it's very thin, so it will just kind of melt into your fabric. It's not going to add bulk to your seams. So especially if you're doing miniature piecing or paper piecing, the 80 weight in your bobbin is going to really give you the best results. So we have it in all of the main colors that I like. We didn't get them because we have them in the shop, but I do have all the colors, like a variety pack of colors. I could show those on Wednesdays. But I've already gone through those, and I literally have all the colors left because I really never change my colors. If your tension is right, you really don't need to change your bobbin color to match your top color. You just need, like, I wouldn't use black thread in my bobbin if I was working on white fabric. So that's really the only thing you have to be careful about. So I have my favorite neutral colors that I can pretty much use with anything here. So we have S113 is black, S113 is black, S112 is white, S115 is like an eggshell off-white, kind of a creamy color, S111 is a light gray, S114 is kind of a khaki, and then I have for $13.70 you can get a variety of them. Literally, I have used the variety pack. I just kept opening variety packs because I didn't, sometimes I'm a blonde. I didn't know that they sold them in the bigger packs of just the individual colors. So I've just been pulling these off the shelf to use. But, I've got a lot more black left over because I use the white and the cream and the gray all the time. This is another one I use all the time is the khaki color. So S116, if you just want a variety. If you need a class L, just let me know and I'll get you a class L. We probably have class L's out in the shop. What can I use for a brother machine? Julie, I can look it up and see if it's an L or a 15. I wish that they would give me, I really wish, if Bernadette, if you're listening, I really wish they would give me a cheat sheet on what each machine needs. I just think every machine is so different. And I'm not sure if all the brothers use the same or as you get the bigger, more expensive machines, if they use different bobbins. I'm not really sure about that. I'm going to have to ask and get some clarification on that. I just know what works in my machine. And I agree with you. I do not ever change the tension in my bobbin. I did it once years ago, probably 20 years ago, 17 years ago. I took a class on bobbin, what do they call it? The bobbin work, where you put you actually hand wind like a thick 8-weight thread onto your bobbin, and then you sew on your project upside down to do the bobbin work. We changed, the teacher had us change our bobbin tension. I would never recommend that because it takes a while to get your tension back into working order. I cheated. I just took my machine to my mechanic. I took it to Tony's and told him that my bobbin wasn't working that good, and he fixed it. So I do recommend, if you're going to play with your bobbin, to get 2 bobbins, one that you keep for all your regular stitching. And I've never had a problem with 30 weight, 40 weight, 50 weight, 60 weight, 80 weight, 100 weight in my bobbin. I've never had a problem with those. And you can use any weight. You don't have to match your top and your bottom. They used to say back in the olden days when I started sewing, they used to say you had to have the same thread in the top and the same thread in the bobbin, and then they would marry equally to give you perfect tension. But they have since said, you know, over the last 2 decades, that that was just a myth. But back 20 years ago, we weren't really playing with a lot of variety of thread weights. Pretty much as quilters, we had 50 weight, 40 weight, 30 weight we used for embroidery. But now we have so many options, and it's really a lot of fun to play with. I'm going to see if Bernadette might do the lecture that she did at QuiltCon for you guys, because even though I kind of know a lot about thread, I mean, I taught classes on thread. Maybe I'm just really good at faking my way through it. But we learned a lot at their lecture. So a lot of things that just kind of click, like you kind of know in the back of your head, but then you see it and you see their pictures and it really clicks and makes sense. So, so we'll have to see if we can do that. Okay. Susan, I'm with you. I love pre-wounds. And I'm going to tell you that I just started using pre-wounds. They talked me into them for my long arm. I don't know. I probably said I was having trouble with my long arm tension or something. And Bernadette probably said, well, have you tried the pre-wounds? And I said, no, because I'm not that lazy. I can wind a bobbin. But I'm going to tell you, she sent me some pre-wounds. I'm a firm believer. I love pre-wounds. Now I use them not only on my long arm, but I also use them for everyday sewing on my domestic machines. I have not wound a bobbin in probably 3 years. One, it's just smoother. So a machine winding your bobbin. I mean, have you guys ever had one of those bobbins that you look at and you're like, wow, something went wrong. Something's awry. It's all crazy wound on there. And you like literally have to just pull off all the thread and throw it away. You don't really have that problem with the pre-wound bobbin. The pre-wound bobbin is done by machines, by professionals. It's perfectly wound every time. And with the 80 weight, you get more. It's a strong thread. It's very strong, but you get more of it on your bobbin so that you can keep sewing longer without having to change your bobbin. You don't run out of bobbin thread as frequently as you do if you wind it yourself with 50 weight. Okay, so let's see. What else do we have here? I think when you use it for binding, you put the fusible thread in the bobbin and iron it down. Oh, so when you get the thread, can you get a pre-wound bobbin with the fusible thread in it? Susan, does the thread come already on a pre-wound bobbin for doing binding, or do you have to wind it yourself? Inquiring minds want to know. Okay, let's see. Susan says you need a class 15 for a brother, Julie. So these will work in what I found, almost everybody uses a class 15 in their domestic machines. I don't even know who uses an L. I mean, I have L's here if you need them, but most people do a 15. And these are great because once you use them, you can reuse these bobbins if you wanted to wind them yourself. I have billions of them. So I put them, if you get a Trash to Treasures bag from me for the Quilt Show Reno challenge, you'll get empty bobbins. Okay, let's see. Oh, Christy, I'm going to have to ask for that, for the cheat sheet. Upper and Fast and Vikings are different. That doesn't surprise me. Tony's is great. If any of you are local and you need your machine fixed, I've been taking my machines to Tony's. Well, actually, he used to have a mobile repair. He used to come to the shop, and we'd have days where customers could bring their machines in, and then they could shop while he was fixing it. But he doesn't do mobile anymore because he has a hard time getting employees nowadays. But literally, day one of our mini retreat, my Juki had a piece that had broken off when I was cleaning it or when I was opening it, something happened and a little sensor piece fell off. And the guys at Juki said, oh, we can see the piece there. You're really lucky. But if you lose it, let us know and we'll send you a new one. So it was so tiny. It was like the minutest little piece ever. So Connie tried to put it, all the girls tried to put it in. Then they said they had Devon come over because he has better eyes and he's got a steadier hand. So he tried to put it in and then he dropped it down into the abyss of the machine. So Devon rushed it to Tony's. I called Tony and I said, hey, is there any chance you could just look at this real quick? Because Connie needed the machine. That's her favorite machine when she flies in to use. And so he's like, I don't know if I can do it today, but I'll take a look at it. So he literally, Devon dropped it off. Devon drove back to the shop. Before Devon even got to the shop, Tony texted me and he said, you're in luck. The machine's fixed. So Devon had to go back, pick up the machine. Tony is really good. He has many times when we've had retreats, he has done like same right now fixes for my girls at the retreats. I love Tony. So if you're a local, support him. He's in Carson. He does all machines. Okay, let's see. Carolyn, for sure, get an extra bobbin if you're going to do bobbin work. Sometimes on the higher end machines, they give a bobbin case for specialty threads. Whoa. I don't have one of those high end machines, so I don't know. Oh, they're working on pre-wounds for Berninas. Well, I'm going to tell you that these pre-wounds work in my ancient Bernina. So I don't know about the new Berninas, but I have my Bernina is probably 30 years old. It was the very first computerized one. It has the little mouse that you move around like this. It works just fine with the class 15 Berninas. But probably the new ones, probably the new Berninas need a different one. Okay, let's see. Terracotta says she loves the Glide pre-wounds on the long arms. I haven't tried them. I tried to order Glide one time wholesale and I don't know. I had to jump through too many hoops or something, so I never did. And then I've fallen in love with Wonderfill. But I would love to give Glide a try. I do love Glide thread because it has kind of a sheen, more like you use for embroidery. I love that sheen. It's kind of like all the threads have the appearance of metallic. So I do love Glide for that. I have an old mechanical Singer and matching thread weight is helpful for me if I ever need to adjust my bobbin tension for a special project. I mark the original screw location with a Sharpie. Good idea, Mary. I don't know. I would be a little bit nervous to change my bobbin thread. Although I will tell you that when I sewed just for me for fun, when I was younger, I did change my bobbin threads. In my head, I remember changing my bobbin tension, but I have not messed with bobbin tension in, I don't know, probably 15 years. But I do know on my long arm, I do frequently have to play with the tension because all the different weights of thread are different. And sometimes I even find that a different like red, and I think it has something to do with the dyeing process. Red threads sometimes seem to work differently. The red thread in my bobbin gives me a weird tension and I have to kind of tweak it a little bit to get it to work right. Victor says he goes through 140 bobbins a year on both machines. That's a lot of bobbins, Victor. Actually, I have no idea how many bobbins I go through, but I do know that I give away a handful of bobbins in the Trash to Treasures challenge. So I think we do quite a few. Sis Morris, I believe he does all machines. Give him a call. Tony's Repair. I think it's Tony's Sew and Back. Tony's Sew and Back in Carson City. You won't be disappointed. It's across from the Walgreens and the Lowe's. I think it's Fairview. Usually he has a cute little Harley parked out front. Crochet floss around the bobbin. Use them as flowers. Crochet floss around the bobbin. Use them as flowers. Victor, you're going to have to do a demo and show us what you mean. Crochet floss around the bobbin and then use them as flowers. We're going to need you to show us. You know, we're just a wealth of knowledge, Anne. Oh gosh. Well, Phyllis, don't be a name dropper. I'm sure Tony treats all of his customers with equal respect. But it's not going to hurt to tell him I sent you, for sure. Okay. Christy, did you like the Glide pre-wounds better than the Wonderfield pre-wounds? I don't know. Okay, so let me know. Christy, let me know if you like the Glide better than the Wonderfield. I haven't had problems with the Wonderfield. The only thing I do not like about the Wonderfield bobbins for my long arm, Devon's like, Mom, you didn't even do the auction or the sale.
No, I knew today would be all about a QuiltCon recap.
Okay.
But it's just 5.
Okay, hang on a second. So the only complaint I have with the Wonderfield long arm, I don't have this problem, and I don't know what the difference is. And I have asked the Wonderfield bobbins for my long arm, they overload them. So in order to get as much thread on there as they can, I guess, they overload them. And so when I put them into my machine, if I don't take a bunch of it off, which I am saving because I'm a hoarder, I have a huge bucket now full of threads because every bobbin I take thread off because it's too full. If I just use it the way it is, when I put it into my machine, it jumps out of the bobbin and it gets wound around. You know how there's the spindle that holds your bobbin on? It jumps off out of the bobbin and then gets wound around that spindle. So then you have really, really tight stitching because it's caught. It's basically like trapped on the spindle. So I always just pull off a bunch of thread before I start. And I've asked Bernadette about it, and she says it's just that they would rather give you too much thread than underwind it, and every machine is different. So I kind of know how much to take off for it to work smoothly, but I always stay and listen to it for like the first minute or so, just to make sure it hasn't jumped off the bobbin onto the little spindle thing. Okay. Is Victor having yes, Jenny, Victor is doing his crochet class, they're crocheting onto fabric squares to make a project. Anybody who wants to join, you can join. All of Victor's Tuesday classes are $15. If you do it for the month, which is 4, then one of them is free. It's $45 for the month. Just let us know. We can get you that link. Jenny, I'll send you a link. And I love that we have QuiltCon as a show. I think that I personally, and so this is not how the whole world feels about modern quilts. This is just my personal feeling about modern quilts. I think that as a community, we're stronger if we all stay together. Breaking it apart and having a show for just one type of quilter is not so inclusive. And I think my personal opinion is that as creative people, we tend to bounce from project to project. So you might want to do landscape artsy stuff one day, and you might want to do a piece quilt, traditional piece quilt one day. You might want to do an improv, more modern quilt one day. But what I found is, and we took a lot of lectures with the open mind of thinking that we could learn really what a modern quilt is, right? Because I've been confused since they've started the whole modern quilt movement. I've been confused about what a modern quilt is. And I'm I'm not the youngest in the industry, but I am one of the. Well, I used to be the youngest, but I'm not anymore. It's crazy how that works. But I am still kind of young comparatively in the quilting industry, and I really don't know what a modern definition is. I don't think that most people know what a modern definition is. We took a lecture, and he contradicted himself. Like, one thing makes it modern, but then this makes it not modern, but this is the same thing as this, and this is the same thing as this. And pretty soon you're like, so he just said that wasn't modern, but now he's saying it's modern. And then he kind of summed it up with, you'll know it when you see it. Well, I'm just a blonde. I don't know what I'm seeing, apparently. So I really don't know, because there were a lot of quilts there that I thought were traditional quilts. And there was one that was scrappy and pieced that I felt was very traditional. And so it seems to me like people work really hard on making a modern quilt so they can submit it into the modern quilt show. But how do you, a lot of them spend all year making a quilt. The one that won that was spectacular, Pride and Joy Quilting made it. And it was a quilt on both sides. It was paper piece. There, anywhere that quilt gets shown, it's going to be a winner at the show. Whether it's put into paper piecing or modern, or, it could, in my opinion, it could even be traditional as it's a pieced quilt. So it's really crazy. At one point, so one of the what was it, Devon? The very first one, pushing the boundaries of modern quilts. So in the lecture, he's talking about how in modern quilts, and I think this is true because you kind of get bored doing the same thing all the time. So he said in modern quilts, we're kind of pushing the boundaries of modern quilts to add embellishments and add texture and add, so now is it art quilts? What keeps it a modern quilt? I wish somebody would tell me, because we paid a lot of money to go learn what a modern quilt was, and every lecturer had a different definition or contradicting definitions. So every time we turned around, we were more confused than before we got there. And Devon finally summed it up as we were listening to, and I told Devon, I said, you kind of need to write. I think it would be a good thing in the quilting community for a young person to write a little story about what a modern quilt is or isn't. We really don't know. You'll know it when you see it. A lot of them have very distinct messages. So Judy, who's a good friend of mine, she said, go check out the Fuck Fentanyl quilt. So it was a quilt that was made by a group of women whose children have died from overdose or using fentanyl. And it was a clear message. It was a message that all of us would feel if we had experienced what those women have experienced. And I think sometimes you need to work together to work through the process to come to get through the grieving process. But I'm not sure that every person that wants to make a modern quilt needs to have a message. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Okay, let's see because Christy was there. Let's see what Christy says. I think it's too muddy in the definition of modern. There was very little separating it. Totally agree on that. Anne says those quilts had no bling at all. It's boring to me, but that's me. And to me, it was kind of like the same, there was no variety. So do I think that those quilts there was a lot of great techniques. There was a lot of great workmanship. There was a lot of great putting it together. There was a lot of great quilts there. But, and I guess this is where I fall through the cracks, because I'm not modern and I'm not traditional. I'm not really, I mean, I think I'm a broad quilter. I like to dibble and dabble in everything, and I think most creative people do. So limiting when you're a modern quilter, this is all you can do, is kind of crazy to me. Because I think that the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more classes you take, the more different things you learn that you can incorporate to create your own style. It's kind of like we took a lot of color classes, color theory classes. We did a lot on color, and I still feel the same way. If it looks, and this is what I tell people when they come into the shop, if it looks good to you, it's good. If you pick three fabrics that you like, use them. That's what your eye sees. And what we learned is that every person sees color different. And, you know, we learned that back when there was is this dress blue or is this dress gold? It was a big thing on Facebook a couple of years ago. Everybody sees color different. So I think quilting is a personal thing that we do as individuals. We quilt because we enjoy the process. We quilt because we love the finished product. We quilt because it makes us happy. And so I think you quilt whatever style you want to quilt. But I think that we should be inclusive. This was Devon's definition, because the show really is very vocal about being all inclusive. So they welcome all nationalities, all genders, they're very inclusive. So I made the comment to Devon. I said, I don't really feel like this is my jam. Like, there's lots of my customers here that I love, and they kind of were saying the same thing. They love that they're able to go to a quilt show. They love that they can take classes. But they would never enter anything there because their work wouldn't be considered modern. But one of the definitions that we learned is that if you're doing contemporary quilts, all that means is you're working on something right now. So contemporary, the definition of contemporary means something that's being worked on right now. I don't know. I'm more confused than I was before. That's the long answer, Ian. There was some that I really loved, and I'm more, I guess, more artsy. Devon said, I use too much embellishing to be considered modern. So pushing the boundaries of modern quilts, they're going to start using embellishments on their quilts, it sounds like. But Devon said I use too much avocado wrappings on mine, so I could never be considered a modern quilter. So there is, I guess, something about using too much. Okay, let's see. Sorry. There were several that were interesting, but overall, I didn't totally enjoy the quilts. I just found that a lot of them looked alike, but I think that they used the same fabrics for challenges, maybe. And then what I feel personally, this is not like a broad statement, but personally, I felt like the makers were working. It's really kind of an honor to get your quilt into QuiltCon. And I feel like they were really working hard on making sure that their quilts would fit the criteria of being modern, if that makes sense. So they weren't really maybe doing what they might have done if they had free reign and could do what feels right. But they were really trying to do what would get accepted into the show. That's kind of when I talk to people, that was kind of the synopsis of it. And I think for me, I mean, I'm not saying anything bad. I think it's great that we have a show to go to. I personally love a show that has variety. I want to see tote bags. I want to see clothing. I want to see wearable art. I want to see trash to treasure stuff that you guys come up with. I want to really push everybody out of their comfort zone to make weird and wild and crazy things that they love. Things that have meaning. I mean, one of my favorite quilts is the one that's sitting behind Devon that Eleanor Peace Bailey designed the pattern. And I made it when I was pregnant, and it was just all applique. I did not love it, but when she passed away, I thought, you know, it's been sitting in the closet for 20 years. You've got to finish it. And once I funkified it, if that's a word, once I started just quilting it. I wish I'd taken a picture at its original state. But once I started throwing embellishments and all kinds of fun things on it, now I love it. But I think you have to make and create for yourself, not for what's going to be approved by others. I think that's my final synopsis on the situation. Make what makes you happy. Make what makes you kind of learn new things. And that's all that matters. Don't worry about the color wheel, because if you like it, it's the right colors. Okay, let's see. So in all of your baskets, and we do have baskets from 2 weeks ago that we haven't sent out yet, we are throwing, Christy made us cute little stickers. So here we have cute little Fabric Chick stickers. So we're going to make sure we get one of these in everybody's baskets. What is the best show to go to with variety? Gosh. Well, of course I'm going to say Quilt Show Reno, Emily, because I want you to come visit me. I have never been disappointed at Houston Quilt Market and Quilt Festival shows. They typically have a huge doll exhibit. They have a huge garment exhibit. They do some historical displays. They do Houston Quilt Market. You will never be disappointed. Road to California has a good exhibit. I don't know that they have as much variety. I personally, and this is my personal opinion, once again, I know Devon keeps looking at his clock. My personal opinion is, and I know that people make quilts to be on display because they like to win. So we have a lot of the people that make the quilts, like the Pride and Joy quilt that you saw today of the Navajo woman. That quilt will probably go to all the different shows because it is a showstopper. It took her 4 years to make it, but she'll put it at Road to California, and it probably will be a winner. And some of the quilt shows they're making, the grand prize for the quilt show sometimes is like up to $10,000. At least that's what it was back in the day. I don't even know what it is now. So a lot of people make a living. They spend all year making one completely amazing quilt. Like the one at Road to California a few years ago. I don't know if you guys remember, we did a tour of it. It had like 7,800 Swarovski crystals individually put onto it. So you do have, at the bigger shows, you have the quilts that are made just for winning prizes. I personally love the shows where, like at Quilt Show Reno, we find members in the community who are amazing artists or have just made incredible quilts. Because some people don't like to be considered artists because they're just quilt makers. Although I think if you get up and you make a quilt, you're an artist. I don't care what kind of quilt it is. But some people are afraid of that term. But I think inviting the community into being a part of the displays is really vital. Because you get a lot more variety. you get the tote bags, you get the all kinds of projects. Guilds especially, a lot of them are gonna, in my opinion, are gonna stop doing quilt shows because they're very expensive. They're very labor intense. It's hard to get volunteers. And I'm kind of watching that trend now where the guilds are going to every other year, or they're joining with another group to do their shows. And guild shows are great. You get a ton of variety at shows. But the bigger shows, you will get the displays that travel around the country all year, like the Cherrywood display and the Cherrywood challenge, and there's all kinds of challenges that the manufacturers do. So the bigger shows will pay the money to bring those displays in, those exhibits in. So you just kind of have to look, but definitely the bigger shows are gonna typically have some good variety. Okay, let's see. American, yes. I've never been to AQS, but it's in Paducah usually, always, I think. I've never been, but one of these days I'm gonna go. Okay, let's see. I don't know where I lost this has been a kind of a tangent kind of a day. Okay, let's see. Do what you love. Also, a pattern can be used as a guideline. It doesn't have to be exact. Elaine, that is the truth. She says, I agree. Do what you love. Also, a pattern can be used as a guideline. It doesn't have to be exact. Make it your own. And I totally believe in that, mainly because I'm dyslexic. And so I can't follow a pattern. So even when we do use a pattern in a kit, we always have to put Fabric Chick's addendum on how we tweaked it. And honestly, I know I'd love to say it's because we're so creative, but typically it's just by happenstance, because reading patterns for us, and I think for most creative people, reading patterns sometimes are hard, and or we find an easier way to do it. We already know of an easier way to do it, like strip piecing. Instead of cutting, rectangles, you can strip piece. There's all different kinds of tips and tricks you can use. Okay, let's see. I'm not into entering anything into shows or competitions. I just like to make things for fun or for gifts, says Carolyn. I agree. And I think this is the story I was going to say like 20 minutes ago. So I entered one of my quilts into a show back probably 20 years ago. It was when art quilts weren't really understood or accepted into quilt shows. And so, as you know, if you've done anything with different weights of threads, if you're using a 100 weight thread and 12 weight thread in your machine all at once for a project, you might get some crazy tension issues, which doesn't bother me if in the final project you can't see it. So I put a false backing. So my project was disqualified because I had a false backing. And I'm just going to show you the project real quick. So this is the project I entered into a show, into a judge show in the art category. And so you can see here in the back for the quilting here, I have 100 weight. 100 weight is quilting the background, and then 12 weight is in the tree. So when you move away, you see how you can't even see the 100 weight thread? But in the tree, you can still see the 12 weight thread. So this project got disqualified from the show because you can see all the intense quilting here, but it's not on the back. So on the back, I just quilted it pretty quickly with a second backing fabric. I had the original backing fabric, but then I used that one. So it was disqualified because I had a false back, which is kind of crazy. So I would never enter, well, I won't say never because you just never know, but I would not, I do not really think I would ever enter a quilt into a quilt show, but I would display it in an exhibit. So I'm all about displaying them in exhibits. I don't really want to enter anything into a show ever. But exhibits, I would love to be a part of. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? The Reno show has a lot of different stuff. That is true, Charity. We try to have a huge variety. Okay, let's see. Please add tears and stabilize you. Okay, Sandy, I'll do that. Okay, let's see. Can you tell us all what to enter at Reno, like the owl and trash to treasures? Okay, so for the Reno show, we have let me know what you want if you're doing a project. Those of you who were in the May retreat last year, I think you all got a dragonfly pattern, and Doris and my sister, they did it out of wool felt right then. They made a project to enter into the dragonfly display. So if you're doing something for the dragonfly display, let me know. Then the other one, Trash to Treasures. So anybody can buy a Trash to Treasures bag. It's $10. I send you a bag of random stuff. I'm going to tell you, though, that one lady called me and said she couldn't find the treasure in the bag. And I had to explain to her that I send you a bag of random stuff. It's your job to make a treasure. So it's incredible. You can go on Quilt Show Reno's Facebook page, and a few posts back, I posted the display of the Trash to Treasure. So if you want to do that, the grand first prize, it's viewer's choice. First prize gets $200. Second place gets $100, and third place gets $50 to Fabric Chicks for the Trash to Treasures challenge. Then you could go to Quilt Show Reno. They might have other challenges also that I'm not aware of. The other challenge that we do have is every one of you got the owl pattern. I found upstairs in Eleanor's archives of stuff. I found an owl pattern that had never been released to the public. So we put those, if everybody at the Shop Hop got one, everybody got one in their goodie bags at Quilt Show Reno last year. We gave those owl patterns out in everybody's regular baskets one time. So anybody who wants them, we do have those owl patterns. So the owls are a challenge, but you don't necessarily have to follow that pattern. Just make something with an owl. That pattern is just an inspiration. And that is, yes, you can make the dragonfly out of fabric, and you can do you can do anything you want. You can make a smaller dragonfly. The patterns that I give you for the challenges are just for inspiration. What you do with it is totally up to you. Like in my mind, if I had time, what I really want to do is a dimensional, like standing tree with fabric magic that shrinks up 30% in yarns and make like a real tree, and then have like an owl sitting on the limb. But I don't know. I mean, June is not that far away. So that is all we have. That is all we have for today. Devon just looked at his clock again. Okay, so that's all we have for today. Thank you for joining us. We will see you Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And we have a bunch of boxes we haven't even opened, so we don't even know what's going to be new for Wednesday. So we will see you on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, or tomorrow at 2 o'clock for Victor's crochet and fabric class, or you can work on anything you want if you just want the company. All right, see you guys on Wednesday. Bye.